Well, welcome back to the program. Good morning at 9:21, right here in the Northeast Caribbean. Glad you're with us. Please join me in welcoming two new friends to the program. And this morning's topic, super important, near and dear to my heart, and the importance of planning, ever so important. We'll get into it in just a minute. Please say good morning to our cardiologist, Dr. Bird Lake. Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Sock. Good morning, St. Martin.
Thank you for being here. And Sharina David from the St. Martin Medical Center. Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Sock, and good morning, St. Martin.
Glad you guys are here. You have a beautiful radio voice. I'm making her blush now. I'm making her blush. Oh, they didn't warn you that I'm a horrible flirt, did they? See what happens? Can't take me anywhere. So I know we have a special event happening over at the White and Yellow Cross, kind of a collaboration between White and Yellow Cross Care Foundation, St. Martin Medical Center. What's happening? When? Where? What's this all about?
Well, we're going to be having a lecture.
Mm-hmm.
It's a community initiative where
Mm-hmm.
we would like to at least educate the public
Mm-hmm.
on starting the conversation. That's going to be taking place on this Thursday. It's going to be from 6:30 to 9 p.m.
When you say
in the
starting the conversation, which conversation are we starting?
We're going to start a very difficult conversation. So, about advanced care planning. So, making your wishes known, what you would like towards the end of your life, what type of care, and also in terms of DNRs. So,
Yeah.
do not resuscitate orders.
And,
Yes,
and it's really it's super important that nobody likes to have these conversations.
exactly.
Nobody likes to think about when I'm not here, right?
Yes.
I know I don't. I have a goal. I'm going to live to 100. That's my goal. So, we'll keep our fingers crossed. But no, it's very important that you express to people what your wishes are. And I think it's also more important that not only do you express it, but I think that you need to write it down
Yes,
the proper way.
yes. What we're also going to talk about, Dr. Sock, is about shared decision making.
Mhm.
So, when you as a patient or as a person get a diagnosis and you're in front of the doctor and you're discussing your diagnosis, it's about what are we going to do together. It's no longer what the doctor says, but we're now patient-centered care, and we want to make sure that we understand the values and the preferences as well of the patient so that we can make a shared decision about your treatment or no treatment. So it's important that we also realize that most older people say, okay, but you're the doc, you have to tell me what we're going to do, but it's no longer that way. So we want the people to take that responsibility of not only discussing what their preferences are, but also looking into their prognosis and looking into the disease or whatever illness that you may have gotten as a diagnosis, but also discuss it with family members because that's the most important thing. That's why we call it shared decision making. So we want to really move towards that.
So ultimately, right, you as the patient or me as the patient, isn't it my decision at the end of the day?
At the end of the day.
Right? Ultimately, I have to call the shots.
Exactly.
If it's about care to my physical plant, if you will, my body.
Yes.
Um, and, I guess it kind of, begs an interesting question because what happens when, I can't communicate? Maybe something has
Exactly.
happened where I can't communicate what my desires are.
Mhm.
And then it becomes even more important that we've had these conversations.
Absolutely. So that's this. Let's start the conversation. It's not only the conversation with the doctors, but most importantly is the conversation with your loved ones, your children or your parents, because that's not only elderly people have, particular diagnosis, but also we notice that younger people. So what do I want? What is expected of my loved ones to do for me at the moment that I'm unable to make that decision or speak about it?
Well, I think you make things much easier for your young ones, your loved ones,
Yes.
and the younger generation that in theory are the ones that have to make those decisions. They don't have to guess, right? Because they know what you would like.
Yes. If you have only one child, it's very simple. But if you have 5 children, everyone has their own opinion. It is good that you've discussed with all 5 children, okay, which one of you is going to make the final decision together after discussing it, which one is going to be the contact person and who is going to be my representative with my doctor. But I also advise patients to always come with a family member or a caretaker, caregiver, that comes along with you to these important consultations.
I I've lost, and our listeners know this because I try and share in a very public way the personal things that go on in my life because we all experience them, and if we talk about it, it's easier, right,
It's
to
much
deal with,
easier.
Yes.
right? And so I lost both mom and dad. I lost mom very unexpectedly in January of 22, and dad about 6 months later at the end of May, 22 as well. Um, and we had some very uh, all three of us had some very explicit conversations with each other about what our wishes were,
Mm.
um, and that makes it much easier when you have to make a hard decision that
Exactly.
that you don't necessarily want to make. Like for me, it's easy. Just take me out in the woods and shoot me. No, I only
I
joke.
don't know if anybody will do that right now. So.
No, but it's important if you don't want to be if you find yourself in a state where your brain is not functioning, you're really not alert, and the quality of life is such where you're being kept alive by machinery.
Mhm.
Do you want to live in that way? And
Yes.
if you do, that's one thing, and if you don't, that's another thing.
Yes.
But you need to without and there's no value judgment assigned to either decision,
Yes.
but it's your decision to make.
Exactly. And when you've discussed all of this, that guilty feeling that you may have when you're making certain decisions for your parents or your loved ones, that will no longer be there because you've discussed it and you're actually only doing what your loved one wanted you to do for them. A lot of people have guilty feelings because they have to make certain decisions. And most important thing, Dr. Sock, is that you have to realize that when you are assigned to make a decision for the person, it's for the individual. It's not for you. Of course, we don't want to lose our loved ones, but what am I doing? Am I making the right decision for my particular loved one? If I've discussed everything beforehand, we don't want to lose our parents. We don't want to lose our children, right? But if someone is suffering, do we want to leave them to suffer? You understand what I mean? The
Yeah,
same
yeah,
thing that you're saying. So
y-
it's really important that we start this conversation. So taboo here on the island to talk about do not resuscitate,
yeah.
about those things. And we really want to shake St. Martin and said, guys, it's time that we talk about it.
And we should talk about it. We should talk about it regularly
Yes.
because the more we talk about it, the easier it is to have those conversations.
Right.
And and you should put down your wishes in writing
Exactly.
the right way so that when those wishes, if they have to be acted on, then you don't have to worry about people don't have to think, oh, what did they really want?
Mhm.
And then you have two siblings that are saying, no, she wanted this, and somebody else says the sister says they wanted that, and then we have to have a debate about it
Yes.
and come to some sort of agreement, and that's
Yes.
not necessarily in the best interest of the loved one.
Yes. So, it's important. And also, when you have a conflict with the treating physician, for example, as a family, come together and let's talk about it. Let's see what is the reason the conflict is, and remember that it is your loved one that's the one that we have to take care of together. And the nurses, the doctors, and the family. So we have to make a decision that is important, that represents the wish of the individual that has to undergo treatment or not treat or no treatment, or where we have to decide whether or not we're going to resuscitate or not resuscitate. So we have to place the loved one or the person that it's about at the center and make sure that all others around try to fulfill their wishes.
And when we say do not resuscitate, um, isn't there, I would imagine there's a big difference between someone having a do not resuscitate order, um, if they're young and or relatively young, relatively healthy, and versus someone saying, you know, if I find myself in a coma where I'm being kept alive by machinery, that's a different type of those. They're two separate discussions.
Right. So the whole thing is that all over the world, where you enter the hospital, they ask you to sign a policy, which
Mm.
is the do not resuscitate policy. Yes, you want to be resuscitated. That means you have a full code, or you do not want to be resuscitated. Okay. So that's what we're also going to implement in the hospital by admission.
Mhm.
We will have that discussion. That's why we want to let the public know that you will be confronted if you are admitted with this question. And of course, if you have a young person who's coming for appendix, who has no other issues,
Yes.
then it's most likely a full code. And
Yeah.
we don't even need to have that discussion. But still, you may have a young person who you think has absolutely nothing, but may have maybe a depression or whatever mental disorder, and decides at that moment that, hey, whatever happens to me, if my heart stops or as I stop breathing, I don't want to be resuscitated. So it doesn't matter the age. If a person has a living will or has decided this is what I don't want,
Mhm.
we have to respect that regardless of the age and regardless of the reason that they entered the hospital.
You know,
If in the Netherlands, the elderly people, they would tattoo it on their body, do not resuscitate, because at a given point, people are, something happens to you, you drop down, you don't have the living will with you and
right.
traveling and say, hey, wave,
Yeah.
I don't want that resuscitation. So they went to tattooing it on their
Wow.
body.
Wow. Wow. I don't think I could go that far. I don't think I could go. So, I will tell you that I have a living will.
Yes,
Um,
that's great.
and it was done by my attorneys. It was done in the U.S. at the time. It was notarized, and I even think I have it apostilled, so could be used, validated for international use. But it's pretty explicit,
Yes.
and they're hard. It was probably one of the hardest documents to read. You know,
Yes.
because, but it forced me to think about the types of things that I wanted
Exactly.
in the event that something happened. So,
And with a sound mind, you
Yeah.
thought about it with a sound mind, you can really reflect, you can think. It's not a document that you make up in 5 minutes. Absolutely not. A living will can have a lot of things in it, not only about your health decisions, but all other things. But the most important thing is that if you don't have it notarized, have an apostille, that you, at least if you write something, sign it and have a witness sign it and share it with your loved one, so that everybody is aware, hey, this is me. I made this decision with a sound mind. I signed it in the presence of witnesses, and I'm sharing my wishes with you.
exactly. And I would also be willing to bet that, um, that there are things I know when I read that like living will kind of document, it talks about the kind of things that you want
Yes.
and the kind of things that you don't want,
Yes.
based on circumstances.
Right.
Right. And so you need the doctor to say to you, okay, we can do the following, but the likelihood of the person recovering and living the life that they had lived, is really good or pretty slim.
Mhm.
And so, in the case where if it was really slim and I'm going to end up on a ventilator, and the chances are that I can't, even think or speak or read for myself,
Mhm.
then, well, let's not do that, right?
Right.
But those are my wishes, right?
Yes. But it's also important to review that every few years, because sometimes things change in life, your thoughts change.
Mm,
So it's also important to review, okay, is this what I still want?
mm,
5 years. After you've made your living will, check it in a few years. Okay, let me read through it. Is this still what I think? Is this still what I want?
mm.
And if nothing changes, it doesn't change. But a living will can be changed.
And locally, do you have the living will appoint the person that will then serve as the agent to make the decisions?
Yes, you can write that in your
Mhm.
living will, and you can appoint somebody, a proxy, a representative, as we call it,
Mhm.
and make sure it's clear and that the person is aware of that
Mhm.
as well and agrees to that as
Mhm.
well. And then you share that again with your loved ones, because if it's only if it's only you two, that's fine. But most people have extensive family
Right.
members or caretakers or friends, and they're at where. I'm not saying you have to share it with the entire St. Martin, but especially with those close to you.
I guess I kind of broke that rule. I've shared it with everybody who's in an earshot. But Dr. Sock has a living will.
Well, that's fine. We know that. So when you enter
but
the hospital, where's your living will, sir? Can we
uh,
see that?
sure.
So that we know, or let's discuss it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it's in a safe spot where family knows where it is,
Mhm.
and then I think I have um, a copy of it on file with my lawyer here and my lawyer in the U.S. So
Great.
everybody knows.
Great. Okay.
It's important to talk about it.
Yes.
It's important to talk about it. Let's talk a little bit. If this conversation, it's not a pleasant one to have, right? It's not.
No, but don't make it unpleasant.
Right.
When you have that conversation, don't let people think, oh, I want you dead because that's why I'm writing. I need you to write this because I'm counting down when you're gonna die, and okay, I have about 10 more years. No,
No, for sure. For sure.
absolutely not.
So if folks are interested in learning more, and they really if this topic is of interest, and it doesn't matter how old you are.
No.
You could be 20, and you could be 50, you could be 80.
Yeah.
Having these documents, very, very important. Having the conversations,
Yes.
very important. Conversation, probably the most important thing.
Yes.
If folks would like to come and participate and learn more, tell them when, where, how.
So,
Um,
if folks would like to come and participate, we have a very interesting program on that night. So, actually, we're gonna start around 6:30
mhm.
in that on that evening,
Which is Thursday.
Thursday, the 20th of August.
Okay, so that's
So
a
this Thursday.
2 days from now.
Yes.
Got it.
So we're gonna have very interesting debates, some topics. We're gonna cover a bit about decision making, so shared decision making. We're also going to have a presentation on starting the conversation. It's gonna be theater style, so everyone is welcome to sit with bring your friend along.
Mhm.
You can even bring your family member with you. So you sit. We have some nice refreshments. So I know
We
it's
do
right after work. So
we do this really well in St. Martin. You know that we eat and drink well when we go
Yes.
to anything. It's what I love about home. Now,
Yes.
you know?
We're having it kind of like a cafe lecture, so it's going to be not so formal. It's more come, let's have a discussion rather than it just being where I would lecture you and say, this is what you have to do. It's
Mhm.
going to be interactive.
And this is going to be up where?
And this is going to be at the White and Yellow Cross in the big dining room.
A big dining room in
St. John's.
St. John's. So
Yeah.
easy to find
Very easy to find, ample parking.
and open to everyone.
Yes,
That
everyone.
this is very, very important stuff. I'm so glad that we were able to, get the schedules in sync
Yes.
and make this happen this morning.
Yes.
It's so important. Have I missed anything?
Yeah,
Have I-
well, can I say something?
Of
Because
course, yes.
the reason that the White and Yellow Cross and Care Foundation is also collaborating is because we know that we send our patients there or our family members there, and that discussion also has to happen. And the White and Yellow Cross also has an hospice, if you
Mhm.
know what a hospice is, where people usually go because they're in their last phase of life.
Mhm.
And some people don't understand what that really means. So also there they have a DNR policy, and actually in order to get into the hospice you have to sign that DNR policy.
Mhm.
Yeah, because you're in your last phase of life, and the hospice is there so that you can be close with your family. You're not in a hospital setting, and you can also get the care there. But it's important when patients or clients go to the White and Yellow Cross that family members also start to realize that this is an important discussion to have, not only with the staff of the White and Yellow Cross, but also with their loved ones that are living there.
It's just so incredibly important, and you will make, even though that it's not a conversation or a topic that you like to think about, you will make your loved ones' lives much easier
Yes.
because your wishes are written down and their job is to read the document and execute your wishes,
Yeah.
right? And that makes it so much easier. And hospice care, is very much about making you comfortable in that
Exactly.
final stage of life, but not necessarily treating you for
Exactly.
things that develop.
Exactly.
Comfort and making you prepared to take
Prepared to take,
that
yeah.
next step. And hospice nurses have a special place in heaven.
Yeah.
I have to tell you,
Oh,
It's
Have it-
not easy.
a special place in
Yes.
heaven for sure.
Nurses in general,
Yeah.
because they really have to give that type of care that we as physicians, of course, we give to a certain extent of care, but nurses are much closer, more intimate with the patients, having to bathe them, so they
Oh.
have more time to talk with them as well.
And know them.
And know them.
Yeah.
And sometimes family members don't dare say anything to their own loved ones, but they will say it to the nurses, for example, or express themselves in certain ways. And let's not forget that religion here on St. Martin, your spiritual belief makes also an important role in the decision of what you want to do in life. A lot of people believe that if it's my time to go because God has set that date. But not everyone is like that. So I want us to come out and really talk about the culture differences, our religious beliefs.
I during the COVID time, if you will, I would leave the radio in the morning and I would head over to the St. Martin, to the mass vaccination center
Right.
at the Bel Air Community Center at the time, and I was there every morning to the day they opened to the day that we closed, and I held the hands of so many people that were so afraid to get vaccinated, and they thought that God was going to send them to hell because they had taken a vaccine, and I will never forget this one older lady as I held her hand and I said to her, while all of the vaccinations and all of the medical care that we have become accustomed to, came from science. I said to her, where do you think, all the science came from? And I said to her, God.
Yes.
And then she was all of a sudden at ease.
Yes.
And so there's a fine mix,
Yes.
a fine balance that you have to find.
Yes. Absolutely.
And
I think we could go on and on and
I
on.
could spend the whole day talking to both of you. I really could. We're just going
on
to
and
talk all
on.
morning. I
know.
made two new friends this
Yes.
morning. Woohoo.
Well, we made a new friend as well. It was
Listen,
great to meet you. Yes.
the door is always open.
Mhm.
Anytime you have something interesting that you think we should share with the public from a medical perspective, the door is open. Please reach out.
Yes.
Anything interesting from a cardiovascular perspective, because I know you're a cardiologist.
Yes.
Anything for acting governor perspective, you know where to find me.
Yes,
You know where to find me.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so, ladies, thank you so much, Dr. Birdlake, Sharina David. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Yes.
The pleasure has been all mine, and I'm glad we did this. And I hope that we have a nice turnout for Thursday evening. What time did we say Thursday night?
6:30.
6:30. White and Yellow Cross Care Foundation,
Yes.
St. John, in the big dining room. Sharina David, Dr. Birdlake, thank you so much.
And thank you, Dr. Sock, for also sharing your testimony. It's really
Yeah.
important that, we had firsthand experience with this as well.
If you think it would be helpful, I could, let me look at Thursday night. Maybe I went through this both with Mom and Dad.
Yes.
And some of it was, kind of the scary, tragic stuff,
Mhm.
and some of it was, I'm gonna, go to sleep and not wake up, kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So I can talk from both ends of the spectrum. If you think it would be helpful, I would be honored to share some of the experiences. Just have a box of tissues. Oh Oh.
We didn't think about that, Sharina.
Yeah.
We need to have some tissues.
Oh.
Definitely will.
Ladies, thank you so much. It is 9:46
Yes.
right here in the Northeast Caribbean. Thursday night, 6:30, White and Yellow Cross Care Foundation, St. John Main Dining Room. What is the name of the event? I don't want to say like end of life planning because
No.
yeah.
It's actually Let's Start the Conversation is our team, and it's healthcare decision making.
Let's start the conversation Thursday night.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll be there. It is, let me take a quick break. We'll be right back. More Fresh Air in the Morning is on the way. Stay with us.